Hello, Tucson.
Hello, Jim.
Hello, Arizona.
Woo!
It is such an honor and a privilege to be here today with all of you patriots. I congratulate you. I congratulate you, Tucson, for having the courage to stand up for truth. And I honor your standing up against the libelous accusations hurled against you by an irresponsible and biased media complex. Thank you, Tucson. Thank you. Thank you for not backing down, and thank you for setting an example for the rest of America. On January 8th, tragedy struck this city and this nation. There was a terrible attack here in Tucson. A congresswoman was shot. Several of her constituents were also shot. And I don't give you this information. You know what happened. And I don't want to disrespect anyone. I just want to give my side of the story here. It wasn't clear what happened at first. The reports were mixed up. As the extent of the tragedy unfolded that afternoon in January, the nation was stunned by the evil attack on Representative Gabby Giffords. And it was not clear for days the extent of her injuries. But for her life is a miracle. And today our thoughts and prayers are with Gabby Giffords. And our thoughts and prayers are with all of those who were victims that day. We all watched in horror as the details emerged. We heard that several innocent Tucsonians were shot, wounded, and killed in an awful attack. Later that day, the news reported that a federal judge was one of the victims. Judge John M. Rowe was killed in the shooting. It wasn't until days later that we read that John M. Rowe died that day while shielding one of Gabby Giffords' aides from the bullets of a crazed killer. And we honor Judge John M. Rowe. Later that afternoon on January 8th, it was reported that a young girl was also one of the victims. 9-year-old Christina Green lost her life that day. What an awful tragedy. She was so young and beautiful. She loved baseball, her family, and she loved God. This little angel was one of the victims. Days later, we read that she was born on 9/11 and that they raised the 9/11 flag in her honor. We lost Christina Green that day, and we honor Christina today. We also read about the other victims, Dorothy Morris and Phyllis Schneck, and Dorwin Stoddard and Gabrielle Zimmerman. It took several hours, if not days, before we knew the extent of the evil attack, and we knew little about the killer that day. We were all witnesses of this tragedy. The nation was a witness to this tragedy. We were all victims that day, and we all mourned. We all mourned for those lives that were lost. But we had no idea what was coming next. Within 2 hours of the tragedy, the corrupt far-left media kicked into gear. Literally, within 2 hours, the New York Times attacked the Tea Party. They knew who was to blame. It was the Tea Party. They blamed you. They blamed the rhetoric of the Tea Party patriots. How disgusting. The rest of the media was not far behind. By Saturday evening, there were tweets and blog posts and several mainstream media articles blaming Sarah Palin for the attack, blaming Glenn Beck for the attack, blaming Fox News for the attack, blaming Tea Party patriots for the attack. They blamed Rush Limbaugh. They blamed Republicans. They blamed the local leader here, Trent Humphreys. They blamed you. And they weren't alone. By the next morning, even officials within the Obama administration suggested that the shooter was linked to some fringe far-left, far-right group that nobody had heard of. I certainly had never heard of this group. They tried to link it to the right, to conservatives. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton said the attack was politically motivated. Democrats even said the shooter was angry because Republicans were going to repeal Obamacare. Horrible, awful. What horrible things to say. They didn't blame the Marx-supporting, anti-American, flag-burning lunatic. They blamed you. They blamed the Tea Party. They blamed all of us. Worse yet, Pima County Sheriff Clarence Dupnick,
Boo!
he went in front of
Loser!
the nation the night of the shooting, and he blamed Arizona. He blamed Arizona prejudice and bigotry. He blamed the Tea Party. What a horrible statement. What an absolutely horrible and irresponsible statement during a time of tragedy. Well, today I stand with all of you patriots, and I say, shame on you. Shame on you, New York Times. Shame on you, CNN. Shame on you, Associated Press. Shame on you, CBS. Shame on you, ABC. Shame on you, NBC. Shame on you, MSNBC. Shame on you, Media Matters. And shame on you, Sheriff Dupnick. Shame on you. How dare you? Shame on you.
Shame on you.
We're not going to take your shame anymore. Shame on your abuse. Shame on your awful attacks, media. Shame on your selfishness. And shame on your lies, your outright lies. Shame on you, Sheriff Dupnick. And I have one other message for the far-left cranks. This is for the hacks and cranks and the elitists and the liars. We won't be threatened. We won't be abused. We won't tolerate injustice. And we won't be silent. We have a right to speak up. We have a right to assemble. We have a right to petition. We have a right to pray. And we have a right to mourn. And through this tragedy, this horrible episode, we will rise up. We will move on. And in the words of Trent Humphrey, your local Tea Party leader, we will move on with courage, strength, grace, and dignity. We're not going anywhere. God bless you, Tucson. Thank you for setting an example for the rest of America. Thank you for your courage. And God bless America. Thank you.